Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this really important topic with women who are in our age group.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off by asking, what advice do you have for women in midlife who feel stuck in their current career, and want to make a change?
Yeah, I see it a lot. And women tend to think that they don't have enough to bring to a new job. And so many times that's just not true. And so my best advice to a woman who either wants to pivot or find a new job when they're in their 50s is to be really clear about what your transferable skills are. Like, you could have been a teacher, but you have amazing skills. You could have been an administrative assistant or an accountant. It doesn't really matter what job you had before. Just getting really in touch with your transferable skills would be my first advice. And then my other one is just getting really clear about the value you would add to the next position or the next organization.
Yeah. Awesome. So how do you rebuild confidence when re-entering the market?
Yeah, kind of tying into what I just said, like if you really know what you do best and the value you bring, just taking the time to work through that and figure out, like, what am I really good at? What do my old performance reviews say? What would my old boss say?
Yeah.
Just getting really in touch with the strengths that you have and the experience you have, and then just kind of comparing it, like, why would someone want to hire me? Because I've done some really great things and I have a lot of value to add. When we tend to get stuck with confidence when we're not really in touch with what we bring. And so I think having just that sheer plan of setting aside time to think about, what do I bring?
Yeah,
can really make someone feel great.
I think having the confidence would be so important. But if you haven't been working for 5-10 years, that would be hard to, like, you kind of have to talk yourself into it. Like, no, I got this. Like, you're so qualified. Like, you're good to go.
Yes.
Having that pep talk.
Yes, for sure. And honestly, sometimes you need someone to guide you through that conversation, right? So maybe if a woman has been out of the workplace for 10 years, it may be really hard for her to reflect. But, like, either hiring a career coach or even, frankly, using ChatGPT to have a back and forth conversation about, like, this is what I've done. Help me ask, what I would say? I would say, this is what I've done before. I haven't worked in 10 years. Ask me 10 questions about what I've been doing in the last 10 years that could help me refresh the value I bring to the next employer. And it doesn't, like I said, you don't have to hire a career coach. If you could use chat, ask it to ask you questions about yourself to see if it can pull out some of those great things. Because it could be, you volunteered somewhere. Right. It could be you were a brownie troop leader. It could be that you did the books for someone's business on the side. Or that, frankly, you're just really great at social media now. Right. And that's actually a skill. And just really, asking yourself or having someone prompt you to ask you those questions that will help you see the value that you bring. Because it is hard, if you've been out of work for a long time, to reflect on just those transferable skills and that value.
Yeah, because I do feel, even though you haven't worked, you are gaining skills, doing so many other things.
So many things. And even taking care of your parents, right? Managing all of their finances, managing their health care. Like, there's so many things. Being a mom has transferable skills. Being a caregiver for a family member has transferable skills. Just managing life. You could be on your neighborhood HOA. I mean, there's so many things that I think we don't realize how transferable they are.
Yeah, I always think, like, PTA mom.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have customer service skills to make that happen.
I'm not going to lie. Being on the PTA was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I gained a lot of conflict resolution and dealing with others and dealing with budget and fundraising.
Oh, yeah, budget.
All those
I didn't even
things.
think about that.
Yeah, fundraising, all those things. Rogers rules, because a PTA is a nonprofit, so you're really still dealing with anything you would for any other nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so talking about skills, like, the transferable skills. So what are the most in-demand skills that employers are looking for now?
That's a really good question. So I will say adaptability is huge. I am 56 years old, and if I went into a new employer and I would be like, well, that's how we did it at my last job, it wouldn't go over very well. Right. So someone who's flexible and adaptable, an agile learner, the truth is we have to stay up to date on skills. The skills that we had in the workplace in the early 20s or in the 1990s are not going to get us where we need to be. So that could be taking a class on Udemy for Excel. It could be watching YouTube, right? There's so much free knowledge out there, but I really do feel, so first I would say adaptability, second an agile learner, and really just staying up to date with the skills needed for whatever job that they need. And then last but not least, I would just say communication. I think sometimes when we get into a workplace, communication can be the thing that makes or breaks the whether it works out. And so I would say really those are the top three. But specifically, as I work with older adults, I often hear them say, oh, I'm not used to, I'll schedule a video call with them. They're like, oh, I've never done Google Meet before. I'm not sure how this works. Or, just really say practicing first so that when you come to any tech situation, you have that confidence that shines through to the interviewer.
So where do you think AI falls in all of that?
That's a great question. I absolutely love AI, and I encourage everyone to use it, even job seekers. I'll give you a few ways where I think job seekers can benefit from AI, if that's okay.
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay, so there's a few things that I tell job seekers to do when it comes to AI. First, I love what I just said about ask me questions about myself. Next, put your work history in there. And I am not saying that we should just use a resume that comes out of AI, but have that. I mean, I don't think that's the goal, but having it describe things in a way that's relevant to today can really make a difference. So as an example, if you grew sales by 10%, there like really three ways to say it, good, better, best. Like I grew sales, or I grew sales by 10%, or I grew sales by 10% through collaborative relationships with cross-departmental peers and outbound sales, right? Yeah. So it's like really how do you say it? And so I do love when somebody uses chat for that. I also love it when someone takes the job description that they've applied for on like anywhere, LinkedIn, Indeed, cut and paste that job description into ChatGPT and say, tell me what this company's looking for. And then say, to put your resume in there right next to it and say, tell me how I compare to this job description. And so, and then you can also go as far as to say, what chat will tell you, if you put in your resume and you put in the job description, chat will come back and say, these are the things you will nail in this interview that you absolutely have. These are the things that you might be a little short on. And then I follow up with the question of say, okay, so how would I answer that question if they're asking me something I'm a little short on?
Right.
And so when you think about that, like it is a free tool that very quickly can help people understand themselves better and the job. And then I also would say go one step further and say, hey, chat, give me 10 questions you think they might ask me based on this job description, and practice. And so when you use AI from that perspective for a job seeker, it's amazing. And I would say, I'll tell hiring managers to do the same thing. Yeah. Put the job description in there. Have it help you create questions. Put the person's resume you're interviewing in there. Have it help you craft questions. What are some holes that this person has? So I'm a huge fan of leveraging AI in the job search. And I also think that AI is so important now that we could list it as a skill on a resume, just like we could Excel or anything else, because being familiar with and able to use AI productively at work is an in-demand skill.
Yeah. I was just telling Cindy today that I would love to get some kind of certification in AI. I'm just so interested in it, but it's helped me with my notary business and also with the podcast.
Yeah.
It saves so much time. I was like telling her, do you remember back in the day when we used to do research at the library?
Yes.
The Dewey Decimal
System?
Oh,
yeah. With the card catalog and pull your drawer out. Oh, yeah. I remember all of that. No. I remember all of that. I do think that any skill that our age group can have that keeps them relevant will add value when they get to a new job. And I was actually just helping a company the other day. I'm helping a company with a high level job search, and I was going over the candidates with him, and we have 4 great candidates. And I said, okay, well now email them and schedule the next interview. The next interview. And so this was the president of the company, very experienced. And he said, I hate to say this, but can you help me write the email that I'm sending them? And he goes, it'll take me 30 minutes to do that on my own. But if you can do it quickly. And I was like, first of all, yes, I can do it quickly. But second of all, ChatGPT, baby.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my gosh. I don't even respond to an email without ChatGPT.
Yeah. And he was like, really? I never thought of that. I'm like, yes. So I said, I'm going to send you a draft to send these guys. Just plug in their information. But I also want to tell you that I'm using ChatGPT to send this to you. I'm not spending 30 minutes on this. Yeah.
And like the AI gets to know you over time. It starts
does.
to push things out that like represent you.
It really does. And to be honest, you could even go in there and say, I was a teacher and now I want to go into marketing. Help me. How would I make that transition? I mean, you can ask Chat you could use it as your free career coach.
So what are some common career myths that hold midlife women back?
Yeah, I think that oftentimes women will think that they haven't worked in a long time, their degree may be in a different field, and they don't have anything to bring. And I mean, that's the most common myth.
Yeah.
And I challenge anyone to that. I mean, have a conversation with me and I will help you see the value that you bring. And like I said, if we are not in touch with the value we bring, it's really, really hard. So I would say the most common one is my degree's in something else. I don't even do that anymore. Or my certifications lapsed for whatever I needed to be certified for. Or I just haven't worked in so long, I don't even know where to begin. That's the big one. Like, I don't even know where to begin. And there are so many resources out there that are free within any city that you live in. Often even your library will have interviewing classes and things. And also just like so many resources online. YouTube is just an untapped well of, advice for job seekers. So kind of pick somebody that you like, that resonates with your style, and follow them, watch their videos. And I'd love to say that job searching was as easy as just applying to jobs online, but it's not. And so actually taking the time to set aside to a couple hours a day or, 4 hours a week spread over time to actually work on this will help you to have a strategic job search and not just one where you're like, oh, I'm going to apply online to a job today and then be disappointed when it doesn't work out.
I remember when I was leaving the military, getting off active duty, and I was applying for every single job.
Yeah.
And then when I would get a phone call, I wasn't managing that very well. And then I was like, what job is this? I applied to so many, I don't even know what they're calling me for.
Yes, that is 100% the case. Yes, people do that a lot because people mistakenly think it's a numbers game. And I guess you could say it is a numbers game, but the statistic is 4% of people get hired from applying online.
Oh, interesting.
4%. It is so low.
Yeah.
And so casting out 100 job applications online and then maybe getting four responses.
Yeah,
it's just low. Really disheartening. Yeah. It's really, it zaps your confidence real quick.
For sure. So how should someone structure their resume when they have a large career gap?
Yeah, I actually love it when people just write that they have a career gap. Just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. So the statistic is that someone will look at your resume for 5 to 7 seconds. That's it. And so in 5 to 7 seconds, they need to be able to just get a glimpse to make a decision if they're going to interview. That's it. Yeah. So if you leave them with nothing like, oh, I worked and then I haven't worked for 10 years, then you're leaving it to their imagination as to why. And so I actually just add one sentence in there. I have no issue with that. It helps people answer the question. And I think too many times we get scared of the gap. And I will tell you, one of the benefits of the COVID pandemic was that it kind of established that the career gap is not always your fault, and it's okay. And it doesn't. So I actually have seen people care less about career gaps over time. And I also just really feel like if we take the time to say something about it, then it's just not a big deal. Yeah. It's just not a big deal.
And it's kind of what we talked about earlier in those career gaps, you're gaining skills.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, like, make sure you highlight those.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you see women going back into the workforce after a career gap, or how does ageism play into that?
It's a really, really great question, because I would be lying to you if I said ageism wasn't there. Yeah. I would just be lying to you. However, there are some things that someone can do as a job seeker to show their value versus their age. So on their resume and LinkedIn, don't put the year you graduated from college. Don't put the year. Don't add your high school at all. Like, I see a lot of people who will add their high school, and I'm like, no, but even college, like, don't put the years on there. Also, check years, check everybody who's listening, check to make sure it's not there. But then also, like, you don't need experience that goes back more than 20 years. Okay. So I personally started working in 1991, and there is a way, if you want to add, I was at McDonald's Corporation for 7 years in the 90s, which was a great job and a great company. Mm-hmm. So I might add that very briefly, but the vast majority of the information you put is like, what have you done lately? Right. And really highlighting that. And if you have a gap and maybe you haven't done it lately, just acknowledging that, and then making sure that you're my first job was an HR coordinator. My last job was a senior vice president of human resources. Awesome. Do they really care that I was an HR coordinator right out of college? Right. I don't think they do, right? So keeping it relevant, no more than 2 pages. No, it doesn't matter how much experience you have, and not going so far back in your history can really help with ageism. And then I wouldn't call it out. I interviewed someone last week who kept saying her age, and how old she was. And, and I was like, God, I wanted to say, don't call it out. Just come to the table with who you are and the value you bring. Don't draw attention to something based on your own fear. Yes. Come confident and
insecurity.
And just know that, I know people are insecure about it. And like I said, I'd be lying to say it didn't exist, but let's not call attention to it on resumes or in person.
So what are some common mistakes you see on resumes and cover letters?
Yeah. So for resumes, I would say the very first thing is length. Sometimes people love to have
7-page.
Oh, my longest is 16.
Oh my goodness.
16.
That's a book.
Yeah, it was a book. And I'd like to say that wasn't that common, but sometimes older people just feel like they have to tell you every single thing. And the mindset, I get it. The mindset when they say, I want to tell them every single thing I've ever done, is because it's like, I'm going to pour everything out there, and then the hiring manager is going to pick and choose what they like, right? Like, what if I don't say I worked at McDonald's and they wanted that, And so many times people put everything out there over fear of a hiring manager missing that nugget. But if we know that they only look at a resume for 5 to 7 seconds, we have to make it scannable by their eye. Glanceable. Like, if I glance this resume in 5 to 7 seconds, do I see the value this person adds? So that's probably the first one. The next one is same with cover letters. They will write their life story in hopes that somebody can pick out oh, she's been a stay-at-home mom for a while and she's trying to enter the workforce, and or she just really their story. Your story does not belong in your cover letter. Yeah. Your cover letter is an introduction to who you are, again, to entice them to interview you. Really, the whole purpose of your resume and cover letter is to get you invited to an interview. And so everything else can kind of come after that. So I would say like the succinctness and the value really are huge. And then for a cover letter, my favorite cover letter format that works with all my clients is opening paragraph, 3 bullet points that say the value you bring, closing paragraph, done.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I just gave you guys all my winning formula for a cover letter.
So the next question was going to be, do cover letters even matter?
Yeah. So that is a great question. And I think if we polled, the world, that it would be 50-50. Mm-hmm. So there are still so many people out there who value a cover letter. And then there are many who don't. I personally don't read cover letters, and I've been in HR for forever.
Wow. So is it just safe to say do it?
It's safe to say do it. That's so true. So this is the advice I give everyone is you have no idea if the person who's getting your resume wants a cover letter or not. Yeah. So let's lean on the side of yes,
right,
and do it and do a good cover letter. And then it's the tipping point that can make you shine over another candidate. So my advice for every single candidate is to include a cover letter, a good cover letter. And even if it says cover letter optional, just upload it. Just upload it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by being the candidate who did it.
Goes above and beyond.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What can women do to stand out in a virtual or in an in-person interview?
Yeah, I think to prepare. So one of the things that I shared with you earlier is, if you're interviewing for the director of marketing at a company and you have the job description, put it in ChatGPT with your resume, ask for the questions it might ask you, and actually prepare to answer those. Yeah. Because, when we think of it, I'll give you 2 things. Somebody who's interviewing you wants to fill that job just as much as you want that job. Right. Nobody goes into it that day and says, I'm just going to waste my day interviewing bad candidates today. That's just fun. Nobody does that. So the company wants to hire you as much as you want that job. So the more you can be prepared to have an authentic conversation versus going into it thinking, this is just a gotcha. They're going to try to stump me, so I got to be prepared for everything. The more you can have that authentic conversation, the better you will be and the more relaxed you will be. So I will say though, so preparing with the questions and your background, but also 2 things, pulling stories out of your background, because in situational interviews, it's not just like, can you do social media? It's like, tell me about a time when you successfully did that. So really kind of taking some inventory of your background, and they don't have to be work experiences. They could absolutely be PTA or caring for your parents or anything like that. And then also with that, making sure that you are prepared tech-wise. So especially virtual or even driving to a place and finding it in the building ahead of time, being prompt, having no tech issues, being prepared, all of that is your personal brand. Right. It's your personal brand. So just being ready to show up with no issue shows that you are a really strong candidate.
Is there something you shouldn't wear to an interview?
It's really interesting. So I think that's an interesting question because workplaces have gotten more and more culture. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. I think that's an interesting question because workplaces have gotten more and more casual. Right. However, you're putting your best foot forward. Right. So it's not the time to guess and see if you can pull the casual card out in an interview. So my advice, it doesn't have to be like a formal business suit. It doesn't even have to be a blazer. Like nice slacks and a nice blouse are totally great. And you can honestly find that anywhere. Goodwill, Walmart, Dress for Success, anywhere. So don't think you have to go spend $1 million on it. I actually early in my career did find your whole interview outfit at Walmart. And it was, cool. They have everything. They have everything you need. So it doesn't have to be something fancy, but, so don't go buy a business suit, but nice slacks, or a skirt, And a nice blouse, I think, can carry you in almost any organization.
But Daisy Duke's out of the question.
Yeah, out of the question. Out of the question. Even no
skirt.
Yeah, and I will say too, with that, it's what you wear, but it's also your background when you're on a video call. So many times,
true.
I will, make sure that your ceiling fan's not whizzing and your dog's not barking, and just really making sure that you're prepared from that perspective too. I did interview a lady recently in her very messy kitchen.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it just, overall she wasn't the right candidate regardless of her background, but just thinking about your personal brand is everything from what you wear to how you show up to the background you have to just your awareness. And that carries then over into the workplace.
So
people want to hire you.
The fake back at the fake beach.
Sometimes people do the fake office or fake coffee shop. I'm okay with it if they really just don't have a good background. I wouldn't take a call from a coffee shop though. It has to be somewhere quiet.
And if your part-time or side gig is OnlyFans, don't have that.
Yes, right. Just be really cautious that everything you do is a positive impression.
Yes,
and so you could think of that negative or you could think of it positive. For me, like everything you do shows that you care enough about this interview to wow the person on the other side.
The details matter.
Yes. They do. They really do.
So what are some mindset shifts midlife women should embrace? I think when navigating. Yes.
So go ahead. You can say it again.
Go ahead. No, when navigating a career change, how can they get over the fear and doubt?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to really get in touch with why they want to go back into the workplace. If they've been either in the workplace or want to change careers, really just saying why do I want to do this and how would this affect my life? And so if someone says, I want to do this because I think I'll have improved quality of life when I can interact with adults more and give back and use my brain. And it's proven that using your brain as you age keeps you healthy longer, right? So get really in touch with the why. And sometimes that's money and sometimes that's a personal reason. And then really say, it's worth it. Like it's worth it. So if you are just doing it because you have to get a job, that's harder. But if you're doing it because you want to have better retirement money, you want to save more for retirement, you want to use skills you haven't used in a while. So just get really in touch with your why. I think that helps. And then just get really in touch with the value you bring. And don't let your self-doubt keep you from doing something that really meets the desires of your heart.
I like that you mentioned interacting with adults as being a motivator, because a lot of, let's say, stay-at-home moms, they're just with their families and then they lose their friendships sometimes. So I can see why that would be like, I just want to get out there and talk to people and make new friendships.
I totally agree. I mean, that I will work. I plan on working till I'm 70. I really do. It is in my why and the desire of my heart I enjoy being with people. I enjoy that. And I enjoy helping people. And so you can be a helper. I think a lot of us have that. I think a lot of women have the desire to be helpful in some way. And you can do that in so many professions. So just get really in touch with what you want, why you want it, and don't let your self-doubt get in the way, because you only have one life to live. Live it like you want to live it.
Yes, we were just talking about that.
Yes.
What's the best career advice you've ever received?
Be a student before you try to do anything else. So I would say, back when I was at McDonald's, a lady named Karen King, she was like, you can't influence anyone until you are a student first. So really just being a student of the new job, the team, the culture, the problems, the wins, and taking that in before you ever try to come in and say, I have, I see a problem, we can fix this, etc. So I would say probably the best advice is to be a student of the culture and the situation, and then the power of the pause, and just saying, okay, what's the best way to approach that? So probably my two biggest. My mentor from McDonald's Corporation, she started as crew at the age of 14 and rose to the first female president in the entire
company.
company.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I
So
love hearing
very,
those stories.
very blessed. She'll be on my podcast someday.
Yay!
Yeah, she's awesome.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen on a resume?
Oh, that's a good question. So probably, I'm going to say probably, like excessive amounts of detail and pages. I don't know that I would say it's like weird, but every time I get something like that, I'm shocked. I'm like, what are you thinking? So I would say probably like way too much information. Sometimes people will do things like add like a personal element to it to explain their situation too, and it's not appropriate. Like, again, the purpose of a resume is to get you an interview.
Right.
And then you can share all the things you need to share in an interview. So probably that. I actually, my husband's retired military, and so we have a lot of friends retired military and government. And in the government, you're trained to just give all 16 pages.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
My life.
They want to know every single thing you've ever done and what you ate for breakfast yesterday, And so it's just not necessary. So 2 pages, super succinct. I wish I had a funnier answer for that one, but it's just excess.
So no one's ever put, I'm married, I have 2 dogs and a cat.
I used to see that a long time ago. When I was first in HR, you would see that more. Like, I'm married, I have 2 kids. Mostly where that comes up now is in the tell me about yourself question in the interview.
Yeah.
And do not do it. Like, do not do it. You want to tell them about yourself professionally. Okay. And so I would definitely give that advice to women who've been out of the workplace instead of saying, I haven't worked for a long time. I'm re-entering the workforce.
Keep it positive.
Keep it to, this is the contribution I can bring. I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Kind of reminds me of need to know information.
Yeah.
It's all fluff.
Yeah. Right. Well, tell me about yourself is the most common interview question out there, whether I don't personally ask it, but it's a very common question. And so many times people aren't prepared to answer that question. And they then set the interview off on the wrong foot. It's like your chance. Tell me about yourself is the chance to start the interview on a high note for you and the other person.
Have you ever had to stop yourself from laughing during an interview?
So I have to laugh at this question because just last week. So I know this was I don't interview. Yeah, I actually don't interview very often anymore. But I was helping a company that I consult with a high level position, and so I get on the call, and my team member had screened the candidates first. Okay, and so I get on the call, and it was apparent to me within about 15 seconds that I must have scheduled an interview with the wrong person, because I was like, this person immediately started. Yes, this woman is probably in her 60s. She immediately started talking about her allergies and, it gets better, that she had a bad reaction to the polio vaccine as a kid and that she's taking care of her parents. And I could not get her to talk about work. She just kept going and going. But the really funny thing is, she said no less than 5 times in our 30-minute interview, I am so glad to see a person my age interviewing me. I'm so used to being interviewed by young people, and I'm so glad. And even at the end, when I said, is there anything else you want to tell me before we interview? She goes, I just feel so glad that I met a fellow older person. Oh my goodness. And I was like, first of all, I'm probably 10 years younger than you. Second of all, telling the interviewer how old she is probably not a great way to get the job.
I'm glad you're as old as I am.
I know, she kept saying it over and no less than 5 times. And then ended that as like her final thing to me. And so, don't talk about your age at all. But don't bash the interviewer. Don't talk about your age at all. And needless to say, it wasn't the best interview because I couldn't get her to talk enough about the value she could bring. She just wanted to talk about her personal life. So,
are you ever able to provide that feedback?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I do really like to provide feedback if they ask. Okay. And so in this situation, if she were to ask me for feedback, I would tell her, I might say to her, try not to just bring up age thing because it is there, and just don't bring it up at all. I wouldn't say you don't have to also tell me. But I would give her the feedback that the majority of her answers were too personal in nature and didn't showcase what her experience and the skills she could bring.
Yeah, I wonder if she was nervous.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, everybody's nervous for interviews, all ages, right?
Yes.
And so, but there's a difference in being able to clearly articulate what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And so when somebody is talking about their polio vaccine and their allergies and all these things, I'm like, not relevant to the job. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was just, I could tell immediately that I had screamed the wrong person. I called the wrong Michelle, to be honest. So anyway.
That's funny.
Nice. So, all right. So now we're going to start a flash round.
Okay, let's do it.
So whatever comes to mind first, that's what you say.
All right.
Ready?
I'll do my best.
Okay. Resume or LinkedIn profile?
LinkedIn profile.
Cover letter, yes or no?
Yes.
Chronological or skills-based resume?
Oh, chronological 100% of the time.
Oh, interesting.
Virtual interview or in-person interview?
I'm going to say, okay, both. I think both have their value. I prefer virtual interview first, and I don't bring people in person unless I've had a successful virtual interview with them.
Oh,
so,
how many interviews are just one-off? Like, don't you like have an initial interview and then a follow-up and a follow-up, or is it just like one and done?
Oh, I don't want people to have one and done interviews because I don't want them to make a decision by themselves, like a hiring manager. I would say 2 to 3 is a good number.
Okay.
So power suit or comfy blazer and sneakers?
If those two, I'd say power suit.
The sneakers threw you off.
The sneakers threw me off. I'm like, I'm okay with a comfy blazer or, like I said, slacks and a blouse, but the sneakers, no.
Okay. Team player or self-starter?
Team player.
Coffee before or after the interview?
After, and also no carbonated beverages before your interview because it makes you burp.
Oh, yeah, good tip.
I'm giving you that tip for podcasters too.
Probably makes you talk really fast as well.
Yeah.
References available upon request or keep it or delete it?
Oh, do not put that on your resume, but have a reference list ready at all times to submit if you're asked for that, but do not put it on your resume.
Oh, I felt like at one point that was kind of standard.
It was, but it's just, again, they have 5 to 7 seconds. You have a very short 1 to 2 pages to sell yourself, and that's not necessary. If they want their references, they're going to ask you for your references. So don't put it on your resume, but have it ready. And don't put, sometimes I'll see people put like the names and phone numbers of their references on their resume. Definitely do not do that.
Call my dad.
Yeah, definitely do not do that.
Explain the gap or own the story?
Both. That's the same. Yeah. I mean, I would say both. I own your story. Do not feel bad if you were taking care of your parent or you had, I have 2 autistic sons. Like I had to take a step back in my career at one point because their needs were more important than my job. Right. I think it's completely fine to own your story with confidence, and also give an explanation.
Perfect. Career pivot at 30 or 50?
I think 50. I pivoted at 52.
Yeah.
So I left my job in the corporate world at 52 and founded my own business. I've never been happier. It's the best decision of my life. So I would say 50.
Okay. So you said you had some tips for our listeners. What are those tips that you wanted to offer?
So I actually did most of them within the thing.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh, no, that's fine.
So, yeah.
Any one stand out, like this is your best tip that you can take away from this podcast?
Yeah. Okay, I will. So do you want to ask the question again or
just go for it?
Okay. So my best tip is to be known. And one of the things that people think is that a job search is simply creating a resume and applying online. And that is not going to work. So my best advice is to grow a LinkedIn profile, connect, make sure people know that you are looking for a job, make sure people know that what you want and what you're skilled at. So the key to getting a job in 2025 is to be known. So elevate your networking skills.
Awesome. How can people find you?
They can find me either on LinkedIn at Mindy East, or they can find me at my website, which is limerockcareerco.com. And I'll also be happy to add, if you guys want, I have a AI for job seekers guide, and we can maybe put that in the show notes for your listeners.
And we'll do a blog, so we'll add it in there as well.
I'm happy to do that. So you can either connect with me on LinkedIn, or on Instagram, or on my website.
And that's
amazing.
East.
Yep. E-A-S-T.
She's like, what's her last name? I'm like, it's Mindy East. And she said, Eats?
Oh, you don't even know. My last name was Thompson before, and I thought I had to spell that with the P before, and I spell East more than you would ever. I'm always like north, south, east, west.
I know over recording it can sound something different.
Yeah. E-A-S-T, just like the direction.
Perfect.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to be here. You guys are awesome.